Ever notice how complex modern bikes are? With all the buttons, screens, even apps that sync to your phone. They're cool, but with all those gizmos, there's a lot that can go wrong. Back in the 90s, they built motorcycles that were straight up wild, a golden era of groundbreaking designs, raw performance, and mechanical simplicity that laughs at your Wi-Fi dependent ride. We're diving into 15 legendary beasts that still embarrass modern machines. While you're watching, drop a comment. Which bike would smoke your current ride? And don't lie, we all know that Hayabusa still gives you nightmares. Let's see if these 90s legends are still kings, or if modern tech finally caught up. Number 15. Honda XR650L. Starting our countdown with a bike that's been giving the middle finger to planned obsolescence since 1993, the Honda XR650L, 644 cubic centimeters of air-cooled single-cylinder fury that puts out around 40 horsepower. Not impressive until you realize this engine treats 100,000 miles like a warm-up session. While modern adventure bikes are melting down their liquid-cooled complexity, the XR just keeps going with nothing more than oil changes and the occasional valve adjustment. The secret sauce? Absolute mechanical simplicity. No radiators to crack, no water pumps to fail, no electronics to throw tantrums when you're 300 miles from the nearest dealer. Just a big single-cylinder thumper that starts every time and runs on whatever gas you can find, from premium unleaded to questionable fuel from sketchy desert gas stations. That steel frame soaks up punishment that would leave modern adventure bikes whimpering for their aluminum space frames. Long travel suspension handles everything from Baja racing to daily commuting abuse, proving that sometimes old-school engineering beats computer-optimized geometry. The XR650L costs less to maintain than most people spend on coffee. Modern adventure bikes like the KTM 690 Enduro pack more power and fancy electronics, but they also pack repair bills that'll make you question your life choices. Top speed hits around 100 miles per hour, which isn't setting any records but gets you wherever you need to go without drama. Still being sold new proves Honda understood something about motorcycle design that the industry forgot. Sometimes the best technology is no technology at all. While competitors chase the latest electronics, the XR650L just keeps doing what it's always done, running forever and asking for nothing in return. Number 14. KTM 620 Duke. Here's the bike that basically invented hooliganism on two wheels. The KTM 620 Duke from 1994. 609 cubic centimeters of Austrian chaos that weighed less than most people's breakfast. 320 pounds. That's lighter than some electric bicycles today. Bolt on 50 horsepower, and you've got a recipe for automotive mayhem that could embarrass bikes twice its size. KTM didn't mess around. They took 80% of their dirt bike chassis, slapped on street tires, and called it a day. The throttle response was instant violence. No computers thinking about whether you really meant to do that wheelie. No traction control wondering if launching off that speed bump was wise. Just pure mechanical fury that connected your brain to the rear wheel with zero translation. Modern Dukes like the 790 make more power, but they've been neutered by safety systems and electronic nannies. The original 620 would happily try to kill you if you asked nicely, which made every ride feel like negotiating with a barely tamed wild animal. Urban warfare was this bike's specialty. Tight parking lots, dense traffic, narrow alleyways, places where big sport bikes felt clumsy and awkward, became the 620's playground. 110 miles per hour top speed meant it wasn't slow, but the real fun happened under 50 where that supermoto geometry made physics optional. The best part? You can buy one today for the price of a decent used car. $3,000 to $5,000 gets you a machine that'll outfun bikes costing 10 times more. No monthly payments, no complicated electronics to break, just pure motorcycling distilled to its most addictive form. KTM accidentally created the perfect urban weapon, then spent the next 30 years trying to recapture that original magic with heavier, more complicated bikes that somehow felt less alive. At number 13, Kawasaki ZX11. The ZX11 held the fastest production bike title for 6 straight years, which tells you everything about Kawasaki's commitment to going stupidly fast. 1,052 cubic centimeters that could hit 174 miles per hour when most cars topped out around 100. 147 horsepower in 1990 was bonkers territory. 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds meant you were basically riding a missile with handlebars. Supercars costing 10 times more couldn't match these numbers, and Kawasaki was selling it to anyone with a motorcycle license and questionable judgment. Ram air induction actually worked, unlike half the performance features manufacturers bolt onto bikes today. The faster you went, the more power it made, which was perfect logic for a machine designed around the philosophy that there's no such thing as too fast. But Kawasaki pulled off something clever. They made all that speed livable. Decent wind protection, comfortable ergonomics, smooth power that didn't try to launch you into orbit every time you cracked the throttle. You could actually tour on this bike without feeling like you'd been beaten with hammers. These engines were bulletproof. Six-figure mileage was normal, not exceptional, proving that Kawasaki built the ZX11 to last as long as it was fast. Modern sport tourers promise similar performance but rarely match this level of proven durability. Clean examples sell for under $4,000 today, making the ZX11 possibly the best speed per dollar deal in motorcycling. Modern bikes have fancier electronics and better suspension, but good luck finding anything that combines this level of performance with proven reliability at remotely similar money. 6 years of speed dominance doesn't happen by luck. Kawasaki built something genuinely special that modern manufacturers still struggle to match. Number 12. Honda VFR800F Interceptor. 1998 was when Honda perfected the sport touring formula with the VFR800F Interceptor. 781 cubic centimeters of liquid-cooled V4 magic that made over 100 horsepower while staying smooth enough for 1,000-mile days. That V4 engine was the secret weapon. While everyone else was building screaming inline fours that needed 10,000 RPM to make power, Honda's V4 delivered fat torque from anywhere in the rev range. 55 pound-feet of twist meant you could pull cleanly from 2,000 RPM or rev it to the moon, whatever the road demanded. The chassis was rock solid without being harsh. Honda figured out how to build a frame that could handle track day abuse while still soaking up highway miles in comfort. 150 miles per hour top speed meant serious performance, but the riding position let you actually use it without needing a chiropractor afterward. VFR owners regularly report six-figure mileage without major issues, which is embarrassing for modern bikes that start throwing codes after the warranty expires. No ride modes, no traction control, no electronic babysitters, just pure mechanical feedback that told you exactly what the bike was doing at all times. Modern VFRs got heavier and more complicated, while somehow feeling less special. The original 800F hit that sweet spot where everything worked perfectly together without needing computers to manage the experience. Yamaha's Tracer 9 promises similar versatility, but can't match the Honda's proven durability or that distinctive V4 character. Finding a clean Interceptor means owning a bike that Honda spent decades trying to improve but never quite matched. Sometimes the first attempt gets everything so right that updates just mess with perfection. The VFR proved that sport touring didn't require compromise. You could have genuine performance and real comfort in the same package without sacrificing either. Coming in at 11, Ducati Monster 900. Before naked bikes became a marketing category, Ducati invented the whole concept with the Monster 900 in 1993. 904 cubic centimeters of air-cooled L-twin attitude wrapped in the most minimalist design to ever roll out of Bologna. 75 horsepower doesn't sound intimidating until you factor in that torquey L-twin character. 56 pound-feet of grunt hit like a punch in the chest, making the Monster feel stronger than its numbers suggested. This wasn't about peak power, riding to a main. It was about how that power arrived, in great lumps of mechanical violence that never let you forget you were riding something special. The trellis frame was pure art disguised as engineering. Exposed steel tubes that looked like motorcycle sculpture while providing handling that embarrassed bikes with twice the power. Every component was visible, honest, and purposeful. No plastic fairings hiding mediocre engineering underneath. Customization was the whole point. Ducati gave you a blank canvas and expected you to make it yours. Exhaust systems, seats, bars, wheels, everything was fair game for modification. Modern monsters come loaded with features you can't change, but the original 900 encouraged you to build something unique. City riding was where the Monster dominated. That upright position, lightweight, and instant torque made urban traffic feel like a video game. Modern bikes like the MT-09 make more power but weigh more and feel less alive in the tight confines where naked bikes really shine. Collector values prove the Monster's lasting appeal. PAGM. Clean examples bring $5,000 or more, sometimes approaching what people paid new. Modern Ducatis depreciate like stones, but the original Monster keeps gaining value as people realize what they lost when everything got bigger and more complicated. The Monster 900 didn't just create a new motorcycle category, another 900, it proved that less really could be more. Number 10. Aprilia RS250. Two-strokes are basically extinct today thanks to emissions regulations, which makes the Aprilia RS250 from 1995 feel like discovering a unicorn. 249 cubic centimeters of screaming two-stroke V-twin that made 53 horsepower at 10,800 RPM. Under 330 pounds dry meant power-to-weight ratios that modern small-displacement bikes can only dream about. 123 miles per hour from a quarter-liter engine was borderline supernatural, especially when that engine would rev to the moon and beyond without complaint. This was Grand Prix technology shrunk down for the street. Aprilia took lessons learned from 500 cubic centimeter GP racing and built a bike that normal humans could actually buy. The chassis was pure race bike. Stiff, precise, and completely unforgiving of sloppy riding technique. Two-stroke power delivery was addictive in ways that four-strokes can't match. Nothing happened below 6,000 RPM, then suddenly the world exploded in a cloud of blue smoke and screaming exhaust. Modern 254 strokes like the Ninja 250 are sensible and efficient, but they're about as exciting as watching paint dry compared to the RS. Collector prices reflect what we lost when two-strokes disappeared. Clean RS 250s bring $10,000 or more, proving that people will pay serious money for the riding experience that modern bikes can't deliver. Emissions killed the two-stroke, but they also killed a whole category of motorcycle that prioritized pure performance over environmental responsibility. Corner carving was the RS's specialty. Lightweight, razor-sharp handling, and enough power to embarrass bigger bikes in tight sections made it the ultimate canyon weapon. Modern small bikes are faster in straight lines but can't match the RS's ability to change direction like it was reading your mind. The RS250 represents everything we sacrificed for cleaner air, raw performance, mechanical simplicity, and riding experiences that modern technology can't replicate. At number 9, Triumph Speed Triple T309. Triumph came back from the dead in 1995 and immediately started building hooligans. The Speed Triple T309 packed 885 cubic centimeters of British triple anger into the most minimalist street fighter anyone had ever seen. 98 horsepower and 61 pound-feet of torque doesn't tell the whole story. It's how that power got delivered that made the Speed Triple legendary. Triple engines hit different than inline fours, with a lumpy, irregular firing order that made every throttle input feel like controlled chaos. 135 miles per hour top speed was plenty for getting into serious trouble. The design was aggressively naked. No fairings, minimal bodywork, just engine and frame and wheels connected by pure British attitude. Triumph understood that sometimes the best styling is no styling at all, letting mechanical components speak for themselves without plastic camouflage. This was the original hooligan bike before that became a marketing term. No ABS to question your braking decisions, no traction control wondering if that wheelie was really necessary, no ride modes to scroll through while the light turned green. Just raw motorcycle that responded instantly to whatever stupid idea you had. Modern speed triples are faster and more sophisticated, but they've lost that edge that made the original feel dangerous even when parked. Electronic nannies filtered out the character that made every ride feel like negotiating with barely contained violence. The used market shows what riders really want. Clean T309s bring $6,000 to $12,000, sometimes more than people paid new. Modern Triumphs depreciate normally, but the original Speed Triple keeps gaining value as people realize what got lost in the quest for refinement. Urban warfare was the Speed Triple's natural habitat. That upright position, instant torque, and complete lack of electronic interference made city riding feel like a contact sport. Bigger bikes felt clumsy in traffic, smaller bikes felt inadequate, but the Speed Triple hit that sweet spot where everything felt perfectly balanced. Triumph proved that motorcycles didn't need to be sensible. Sometimes the best bikes are the ones that bring out your worst instincts. Lucky number 8. Honda RC45. Honda built the RC45 in 1994 to prove they could make the most exotic motorcycle on Earth when money was no object. 749 cubic centimeters of V4 perfection, wrapped in more hand-built aluminum and carbon fiber than most people see in a lifetime. 118 horsepower in street trim. But race teams could extract 150 from the same engine with proper tuning. This wasn't just a fast bike, it was a homologation special built specifically to dominate world superbike racing, with just enough street bikes produced to satisfy the rules. The single-sided swing arm wasn't just for show, it was genuine race technology that made wheel changes faster during endurance racing. Combined with that handcrafted aluminum frame, the RC45 felt more like riding a piece of aerospace engineering than a traditional motorcycle. Build quality was absurd. Every component was specified beyond normal production tolerances, creating a bike that felt more precise than anything else Honda had ever built. 160+ miles per hour came with the confidence that everything would hold together under maximum stress. Rarity drives current prices over $38,000, but the RC45 earned that exclusivity through genuine performance rather than artificial scarcity. Modern CBR1000RRs are faster and more sophisticated, but they can't match the RC's hand-built precision or track-focused purity. Only a few hundred RC45s were ever made, making each one a piece of Honda's racing heritage. This wasn't a bike you bought for commuting, it was rolling art that happened to be capable of winning world championships. Track feedback was telepathic. The RC told you exactly what was happening at the contact patches without filtering anything through electronic systems. Modern bikes are faster but feel disconnected compared to the RC's pure mechanical communication. The RC45 represented Honda at their absolute peak, unlimited budget, racing focus, and complete disregard for practical considerations beyond pure performance. Number 7. Suzuki GSXR750 SRAD. 749 cubic centimeters of ram air-fed inline 4 that made 135 horsepower, while weighing under 440 pounds wet. That power-to-weight ratio embarrassed litter bikes that weighed significantly more while making only marginally more power. Sub 3 second 0 to 60 times and 165 miles per hour top speed meant the 750 could run with the big boys while being exponentially easier to manage in tight situations. Track agility was supernatural. The SRAD changed direction like it was reading your mind, carving corners with precision that heavier bikes couldn't match. AMA racing results proved the 750's capabilities. It consistently punched above its displacement weight against supposedly superior litter bikes. Modern 600 cubic centimeter bikes promise similar performance but typically weigh more and feel less focused than the original SRAD. Suzuki hit that perfect balance between power and manageability that's nearly impossible to achieve when bikes get bigger and more complicated. The ram air system actually worked, delivering noticeable power gains at speed rather than just looking aggressive in photos. Combined with fuel injection that was advanced for its time, the SRAD felt more modern than many bikes built years later. Corner carving was the SRAD's specialty. Lightweight and aggressive geometry made it the ultimate canyon weapon, embarrassing bigger bikes in tight sections where pure power couldn't overcome physics. Modern 750s are heavier and less focused, losing the original's razor-sharp character. Even today's GSXR750 feels bloated compared to the SRAD's surgical precision. Suzuki proved that the sweet spot for sport bike performance wasn't at the top of the displacement charts, it was wherever power and weight balanced perfectly. Number 6. Honda CBR 900RR Fireblade. 893 cubic centimeters that completely rewrote the rules about what motorcycles could be. 408 pounds. That's lighter than most modern 600 cubic centimeter bikes, yet the Fireblade was packing 122 horsepower. And screaming to 164 miles per hour. Honda didn't just build a fast bike, they built a physics lesson disguised as transportation. The weight savings were borderline obsessive. Honda engineers shaved grams off bolts, used hollow frame tubes, and trimmed material from places other manufacturers didn't even know existed. Every component was questioned, weighed, and re-engineered until the Fireblade felt more like riding concentrated speed than an actual motorcycle. This thing changed everything overnight. Before the Fireblade, sport bikes were heavy, crude machines that happened to go fast. After the Fireblade, every manufacturer scrambled to figure out how Honda had made a litter bike feel like a featherweight weapon that could corner like a 250. Modern CBR 1000 RRs are faster and pack more electronics, but they're also heavier and somehow feel less special. The original Fireblade had a purity that got lost when manufacturers started adding complexity instead of subtracting weight. Track days revealed the Fireblade's true genius. Riders who struggled with heavy litter bikes suddenly found themselves keeping up with much more experienced pilots simply because the Honda was so much easier to manage. Less weight meant later braking, faster direction changes, and more confidence everywhere. The Fireblade proved that power-to-weight ratio mattered more than peak horsepower numbers. Honda built something that felt alive in ways that modern bikes, despite their superior technology, somehow can't match. Every sport bike built since 1992 owes something to the Fireblade's revolutionary approach to motorcycle design. Halfway point, Ducati 916. The 916 was Ducati's masterpiece, 916 cubic centimeters of Italian fury that won 4 straight World Superbike Championships while looking like rolling sculpture, 114 horsepower, and 66 pound-feet from an L twin that sounded like God clearing his throat. This wasn't just fast, it was devastatingly beautiful. Those flowing lines, that trellis frame, the single-sided swing arm that looked like it belonged in an art museum. Ducati proved you could build a world-beating race bike that was also the most gorgeous motorcycle ever created. The racing success was no accident. Carl Fogarty piloted 916s to championship after championship, proving that Ducati's combination of power, handling, and reliability could dominate the world's best riders on the world's best tracks. This wasn't just marketing, it was genuine racing pedigree. 159 miles per hour top speed came with handling that made physics negotiable. The 916 could brake later, lean further, and accelerate harder out of corners than bikes with more power but less sophistication. Italian engineering at its absolute peak. Modern Panigales are faster and more technologically advanced, but they've lost the 916's soul somewhere in the pursuit of lap times. The original had character that made every ride feel like an event, not just transportation between points A and B. Collector values tell the whole story. Clean 916s bring $15,000 or more, sometimes approaching what people paid new 28 years ago. Modern Ducatis depreciate like rocks, but the 916 keeps gaining value as people realize what peak motorcycle design actually looks like. The trellis frame wasn't just beautiful, it was functional art that provided the perfect balance of rigidity and compliance. Modern aluminum frames are more sophisticated but somehow feel less special than those gorgeous steel tubes. Number 4. Yamaha YZFR1. 1998 was when Yamaha got fed up with fat, slow-handling superbikes and built something that made no sense on paper but worked perfectly on the road. The original R1 crammed 998 cubic centimeters into a package that felt like riding a very angry middleweight. 149 horsepower was serious business, but the real magic was how Yamaha fit it all together. They stacked the transmission on top of the engine instead of behind it, which sounds weird but created a litter bike with the wheelbase of a 600. Physics shouldn't have allowed this, but Yamaha made it work anyway. Every other manufacturer was building bigger, heavier bikes and just adding more power to compensate. Yamaha went the opposite direction. They made everything smaller and lighter while keeping the power. The result was 173 miles per hour in a bike that weighed less than most 750s. The riding position meant business. Sit upright and you felt like you were fighting the bike, but get into proper track position and the R1 became telepathic. This wasn't built for casual weekend rides. It was a street-legal race bike that rewarded commitment. Track days revealed the R1's true nature. Skilled riders could embarrass people on much more expensive machinery simply because the Yamaha was so much easier to maneuver. When the road got twisty, weight and balance mattered more than peak horsepower numbers. Modern R1s are faster and loaded with electronic helpers, but they've lost that raw edge that made the original dangerous in the best possible way. The 98 bike would punish sloppy riding, which kept things interesting. Instead of following everyone else down the displacement rabbit hole, they rethought what a superbike could be when you prioritized handling over bragging rights. Number 3. Kawasaki ZX9R. 899 cubic centimeters of inline-4 madness that made 143 horsepower while hitting 170 miles per hour. This was back when Kawasaki built bikes for people who enjoyed controlled terror as a hobby. 74 pound-feet of torque hit like a freight train, but the chassis was stable enough that you could actually use all that power without immediately becoming a street pizza statistic. The ZX9R occupied this perfect sweet spot where you got serious superbike performance without the weight penalty that came with bigger engines. Kawasaki figured out how to extract massive power from 900 cubic centimeters while keeping everything balanced and rideable. Street riding was where this bike really shined. Modern Ninjas are faster on paper but feel disconnected from the road compared to the ZX9R's direct mechanical feedback. No computers second-guessing your inputs, no electronic systems filtering the experience. Just pure motorcycle responding exactly to what you asked for. The durability was typical Kawasaki bulletproof. These engines regularly hit six-figure mileage without major drama, which is embarrassing for modern bikes that start throwing error codes after the warranty expires. Simple fuel injection, proven engineering, and robust construction created something that aged gracefully. Used market prices tell the real story. Clean ZX9Rs sell for around $4,000, making them possibly the best performance bargain in motorcycling. Modern bikes cost 3 times more while delivering similar real-world performance, but with exponentially higher maintenance costs. The balanced chassis handled everything from canyon carving to highway touring without feeling like a compromise in either direction. Kawasaki built a bike that could do serious track duty on weekends and commute to work on Monday without missing a beat. Runner-up: Suzuki Hayabusa GSX1100R. The Hayabusa arrived in 1999 like a cruise missile with license plates, 1,298 cubic centimeters that pumped out 175 horsepower and 102 pound-feet of torque while hitting 191 miles per hour, the fastest production bike ever built. Suzuki didn't just build a fast motorcycle, they built a land speed record machine that happened to be street legal. That distinctive aerodynamic bodywork wasn't just styling, it was wind tunnel-tested sculpture designed to cheat physics at triple-digit speeds. The name came from a Japanese bird of prey known for diving at ridiculous speeds, which was perfect because riding a Hayabusa felt like being shot out of a cannon. 0 to 60 happened so fast that your brain needed time to catch up with what just occurred. European speed restrictions tried to kill bikes like the Hayabusa, limiting top speeds to 186 miles per hour. But for 2 glorious years, the Busa reigned as the ultimate expression of motorcycle excess, pure speed with no apologies and no compromises. The engine was built like a locomotive. Massive displacement, robust internals, and conservative tuning meant Hayabusas could handle serious abuse while delivering that crushing torque everywhere in the rev range. This wasn't a peaky race engine, it was a freight train that happened irreverent. Drag strips became Hayabusa territory almost immediately. Stock bikes could run consistent 11-second quarter miles with minimal modifications, embarrassing purpose-built race cars that cost 10 times more. The aftermarket went insane, creating turbo kits and nitrous systems for people who thought stock performance wasn't quite terrifying enough. Modern hyperbikes are faster and more sophisticated, but none capture the Hayabusa's combination of brutal power and surprising civility. You could tour comfortably on a Busa or terrorize drag strips, whatever your mood demanded. Number 1. Harley-Davidson FLSTF Fatboy. At the top of our list sits something completely different, the Harley-Davidson Fatboy from 1990. While everyone else was chasing horsepower numbers and lap times, Harley built something that prioritized soul over statistics. 1,338 cubic centimeters of air-cooled V-twin that made 67 horsepower and 71 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers sound pathetic compared to everything else on this list until you realize that the Fatboy wasn't built to win races, it was built to win hearts. The solid disc wheels were pure visual drama. No spokes, no traditional motorcycle aesthetic. Just these massive aluminum discs that looked like they belonged on a custom show bike rather than production machinery. Combined with that chunky, muscular profile, the Fatboy looked like rolling American sculpture. This was peak Harley simplicity. No liquid cooling to leak, no complex electronics to fail, no sophisticated suspension to rebuild, just a big V-twin, a solid frame, and enough chrome to blind oncoming traffic. Maintenance meant oil changes and occasional valve adjustments, the kind of work you could do in your garage with basic tools. The riding experience was pure theater. That V-twin rumble at idle, the distinctive Harley shake, the way power arrived in great lumps of torque rather than smooth linear delivery. Modern Harleys are faster and more refined, but they've lost that raw mechanical character that made every Fatboy ride feel like an event. Cultural impact matters more than lap times sometimes. The Fatboy became a movie star, a cultural icon, and a symbol of American motorcycle manufacturing when foreign bikes dominated everything else. You bought a Fatboy because of how it made you feel, not because of what it could do on a stopwatch. 35 years later, Fatboys still command respect and hold value in ways that most motorcycles can't match. Harley proved that sometimes the best motorcycle isn't the fastest one, it's the one that creates the strongest emotional connection.